Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. We are two amateurs giving pro tips. So thanks so much for tuning into the channel to check out our breakdown of the race. I'm Brian.
I'm Amy.
And we're going to talk through Amy's race. Let's get into it. We live in Tucson, and this is the San Manuel Crit just outside of Tucson. This is a women's 3-4 field.
Women 3-4 in Collegiate B.
And Collegiate B. And you're seeing race footage from Amy's bike, front and back. So let's talk. Going into this race, you're racing solo for your first relative crit.
Sure. We can talk about the course a little more first.
Okay, let's talk about the course.
So you can see a map of the course in the top right. It's kind of a unique hexagon shape. So all left turns. Our race is 40 minutes long. There's about 70 feet of climbing per lap. The start finish, is on an uphill.
Mm-hmm. And the course itself is about half up, half down, a little bit more uphill than downhill, right? No, more downhill than uphill. You have those two corners.
Yeah. It's uphill through the finish and then uphill on the next straight and then kind of flat across and then down.
And we're getting fancy now. Like, we put a start-finish line on the map so you can see where the start-finish is. We have an arrow for the wind and the word wind direction because people asked, what's the arrow for? So, coming in this race, first race without teammates. You have some frien'emies in the race, right? Friends, people you know, but you're racing against. What was your intention or strategy coming into the race? Like, well, were you racing to win? Tell me a little about that.
I think I always race to win. Especially in a crit.
Okay.
I always want to win. I always think I can win. So most of these people I don't know. So for the first part of the race, I'm definitely trying to single out people that I think might be strong, might have a chance against me in a sprint, or are just stronger than me in general and can get away, and I wouldn't be able to catch them.
Okay. So let's identify some players, because there's somebody right here that is one of these individuals, right?
Yeah, so right in front of me is Ashley, and there was a crit way early, oh my gosh, last fall now, and she beat me in that crit, so I'm definitely keeping an eye on her. She races very conservatively, and then in that past crit anyway, she sprinted around me right at the end. So definitely need to watch out for her, make sure she's doing work. And pretty early on in this race, I made sure I was behind her because I was chasing all sorts of stupid stuff at the front, trying to control the front of the race. But really the person I'm worried about is Ashley. So I want to make sure I'm behind Ashley and that Ashley's doing some work.
See, we may be amateurs, but that's a pro tip. Let's jump ahead to some key points in the race where you either apply your strategies or something's going on that we can all take some information from. Okay, so this is the last corner coming to the front straight, or the start-finish straight, and something that Amy does every time, I think every single lap of this race, is you manage to always get yourself in the draft. The wind's coming hard at your left, and there you are, like coasting right up through it.
Oh yeah. So this is a preem lap. There are 3 preems here. And my strategy with preems is I'm not gonna go for it unless it's really low effort. So you see no one was really going for that one, and I just moved right up in the draft and started sprinting. Anna came up behind me, tried to go for it, and I put in a little bit of an effort, but overall it was pretty low effort preem.
And now you're on the front.
And now I'm on the front, and you can see my power, just low tempo. I have no intention of dragging this field around.
Yeah, you pull off to the side, like the biggest invitation to come around me.
Yeah.
And they're not picking that up. They're kind of just letting you dangle out there. All right, so let's move to some more action happening here in the race.
Okay, now this is coming downhill into one of the left-hand corners, and it is the fastest left-hand corner on the circuit because we're going like 30 some miles an hour. Where's the speed? Yeah.
The speed.
And you see this girl in front of me leaves a huge gap. She just grabs her brakes coming into this corner.
Yeah, she just dropped 10 miles an hour. 10 miles an hour.
And she's pretty strong, so she catches back up. But I know the girl who's in the lead right now, and I raced against her in cyclocross, and she beat me. Her cornering's pretty good. And I know she's strong because she raced like 5 cross races in the same day and still beat me. So I do not want to be in that position again in case she takes off.
Yeah, she had the opportunity to go when she gapped Lindsay going to that corner. She could have rolled away and made you put in a serious dig, burn a couple matches to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
That is super awesome. And one of the things I've noticed that you've really picked up as we do these video recaps after your races is those moments where you have to really apply your strategy in the race while you're pedaling and barely breathing and everything's going on and go.
Yeah, that ability to make race time decisions definitely comes with experience. Like most people aren't very good at that when they first start racing. All you can think about is survival. And then eventually it's like, okay, what direction is the wind coming from? Okay, now I can survive and I can pay attention to the wind. Okay, now who's the strongest rider in here? Okay, now I can survive, I can pay attention to the wind, and I know who to watch for. And eventually you just add on all of these things and you're completely comfortable in there, and you can make these kind of race time decisions that you literally only have a second or two to decide.
So true.
So here's the same downhill stretch, and I'm back a little bit further in the group, but you can see at the front of the race, it's the same lineup with this UA rider and then Bicycle Haus right behind her. And I do not want to be there. So
she's going to drop 10 miles an hour.
This is how you move up in a corner. And I know there's a huge gap behind me because I actually heard her.
Gasp.
Yeah. she was a little shocked that I was right there. So there's a big gap behind me.
Yeah, you put in a little dig.
I put in a little dig, and Sarah's chasing me.
Ashley's chasing, yes. Ashley's chasing you. But so something else you did that was brilliant is you made everybody work so hard. The ones that are going to hit their brake in that corner are now working 3 times as hard to gap up. And you've got some really good race awareness going on because Ashley noticed you roll through and she wasn't going to let you get away. She rolled back up to you really easily.
So on the downhill is the easiest place to move up because it's the least amount of effort, but you have to be willing to rail that corner. So I think that's why a lot of people were not moving up there, because
they're hitting panic mode as they approach the corner.
You're going to approach that corner at 35 miles an hour, and a lot of people were not willing to do that. Except me.
Good point. Except you. This section here is a great strategy input from you. Tell us about this. What?
So right here, Caitlin gets to the front. She's really strong mountain biker. She did this the very first lap of the race and basically showed all her cards. But
so Caitlin, if you're listening,
I know that she's super strong, and I should have been on that move, but I wasn't, and Ashley wasn't either. So what's her name?
Were you gonna let her roll? Were you gonna let Caitlin and the other rider roll? What was your thought?
No, I was gonna make Ashley come and pull me up to them.
And she did exactly that.
Yes. Meanwhile, she should have been waiting for me to go chase them.
No, and that was the brilliant strategy. Like, that was so good. You waited. You could have waited longer, and you still could have gone and bridged up yourself while burning a match. But eventually, the patience game totally paid through for you there.
Yeah. So my strategy in this race was to outsmart Ashley. because she's really strong, but she's only been racing for like less than a year, probably. So not a lot of race experience. My only strategy is to outsmart her because I am not stronger than her.
And there go your cards. Like, laid them all out.
It's okay.
Here we're a little later in the lap from that same move of Caitlin. It's the 4 of them, but look at the gap that's starting to establish behind Amy. Like, it's getting big and bigger.
Yeah.
And now you're doing 400 watts, 500 watts. Oh my gosh, close it up, close it up. And look behind her. Like, these people are almost out of sight.
Yeah, this was one of the most painful drags up this straight because I'm not in Ashley's draft anymore.
You're doing
they
all the
dropped me a little bit, but yeah, luckily we turned almost directly into a headwind here, and I'm able to catch up.
Why? And it looks like you guys all back off though. Why didn't you look at the gap you have? You all 3 look.
Yes, I do let them know that we have a gap if we wanted to press forward with this little break that we have. And we're not quite halfway through the race, but this same situation happens over and over again. And it's mostly because we're the 4 best cornerers. So
you roll through the downhill corners at speed, no brakes or limited brakes.
And we leave these huge gaps behind us, and if we just carried it up the next 2 uphills, like, everyone's gone, and that ultimately ends up what happens.
Well, there, you gave away the end of the video, so everybody can stop now, because now you know what's going to happen. Okay, so here we're at the top of the course. They're about to turn to this left-hander and move down the hill. So 20-ish miles an hour.
So you have 2 teammates in front of me.
Yep.
They're both bicycle Haus.
Yeah. So Anna directly in front of Amy. And right here, she pauses. Should have paused. Should have just gone and launched it. But she goes, and there goes her teammate.
And I pause temporarily because I see Caitlin and Ashley off to the side, and I'm hoping they're going to chase it. And then out of the corner of my eye, I see Lindsay, who's now in front of me. She's looking at that gap like she wants to close it. So I'm like, yep, you go for it. and she does.
And so if you're like having a cup of coffee with her after the race, what would you say? In the nicest way possible.
Well, I'd have to show her the footage because it's kind of hard to say, just don't chase down your teammate. But yeah. Basically, Anna put in a little attack, and it was completely pointless because the only one who put in an effort to catch her was her own teammate.
Yeah, and that could have taken some more energy off your potential plate. Now, here is what Lindsay does that is great, is that Anna's getting tired. She's like, yeah, I've had enough of this. Amy's out in the draft. So she's not in a really good position if somebody counterattacks, and Lindsay gives a look and goes. She rolls it from the front.
Yeah. And here, I think Anna's actually trying to catch her, but I know she's tired, and I'm hoping that she's just going to go, but she doesn't.
And there goes Ashley.
Eventually, I have to come around because Ashley takes off after.
350 watts.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And this also hurt.
Yeah. Yes. It's a good move, though. So, Lindsay, if you're watching this, that was awesome.
Yeah.
The counterattack after your teammate's roll. That was, any lower grade you got for chasing her down, you superseded that by the counterattack and making Amy and Ashley work their butts off. Like, look at this. Mm-hmm. She's still doing over 300 watts.
And now, Anna's, you could see her behind me. She's technically chasing down her teammate, but in this case, her teammate's at a really big disadvantage having me and Ashley in here. So that was probably smart to, keep chasing. Because now she's looking back like, oh, crap.
Yeah, exactly. Lindsay's looking over her shoulder nonstop like, come around. Come around anytime. Go ahead and pull on through. And they're not going to pull through. All right, so here we're coming up on 3 to go. Caitlin just made a huge dig up the hill, and she pulls off like wow, that half lap hurt.
Yeah. So there's 4 of us that are just completely clear of anyone else.
Wind's coming from the right. This is important to note because Ashley just takes off on the left. And Caitlin.
Oh, she just can't quite catch me.
Yeah, I was at the start finish line with her husband, and she came through and made this like hand motion.
So if you watch this corner here, no, I actually just passed her. Yeah. So the La Jolla racer, who I just passed, she does get gapped a little bit in every corner. She's pretty good, but not as good as Ashley. So I wanted to get her around her as soon as possible.
Yeah, it was going to leave a big gap between her and Ashley, or you and Ashley, so that was such a smart move. Staying on the...
Because now Ashley decides she's going to drill it to the finish line. And I'm just going to sit on her wheel.
Yeah, roughly about 1,700 meters a lap, so you have 2 to go at this point.
Yeah, we have 2 to go.
3,000 meters out to drill it. It's a long haul. So we are 1 to go. The La Jolla rider's gone. She's out of sight now. You guys have dropped her. Ashley's been at the front for 2.5 laps.
And has never once made an attempt to not be on the front, so I just sit there.
Yeah. I mean, and could she have ridden away from you, think? Could you got a little harder and dropped you?
At this point, it's so close to the end of the race that no. Like, she had to do this earlier.
Yeah, like 2 laps ago.
Yeah.
She could have put in a big dig and left you.
Maybe.
So what's your strategy now? You got half a lap-ish. You're about to come into the downhill. What are you thinking as you're rolling through this? What do you want to have happen?
So based on the previous 2 laps, she has all intentions of leading this out. I don't think I'm going to come around her until the sprint. So I'm trying to conserve as much energy as possible.
Almost dropped 100 watts.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I do rest my hands on my tops right there and drop like 30 watts. And she's still like drilling it on the front. And now we're going downhill, so I'm hardly doing anything.
And wind's right to left. She's leaving. This is one thing I find interesting. She leaves the left side open, so you can tuck in towards the left and get more draft. And what you do, you move into it right here.
And we at least have a 30-second gap, so there's really no reason for her to be drilling it unless she thinks she's going to drop me in the corners, which she's just not.
No, you corner way faster. You actually corner up on her. You roll up on her in a couple of corners.
Yeah.
So here you're coming into the last corner.
Yep.
350 meters to go.
So I'm hoping she leaves the draft side open, which she has on every single lap, which is going to be the right side of her, right against the barrier. And here she leaves it open, and I take it.
596. Jeez. And now it's a drag
still
race.
In the draft.
Yeah, 100% draft right there.
And I'm about a half a bike length, and I just hold it.
Yeah, you have 50 meters to make it to the finish holding half a bike length. And the whole way. The W, the win. Chicken dinner coming at you. Good job. That's how you win a bike race.
That's how you win a bike race. Against a stronger rider.